Hello there, and welcome to another tier maker video. This time around, we're going to talk about Chariots. My name's Dan. I'm a bit of a Warhammer veteran, and I just like talking about the old world. Really, square bases are definitely for me. I like the order. Anyway, we've been doing a few of these tier maker videos. So this is Chariots. I've got a few to go. I've got combat heroes, support heroes, monstrous infantry, monsters, and heavy infantry and light infantry I've got to go. So actually quite a few of these videos I'm still going to make. All these tier maker things, they're all on tier maker, they're all public templates, so if you just search for my name on tier maker, you'll find, and you can do your own. Anyway, let's have a look at, now Chariots is quite difficult because it's quite difficult to define exactly what you want in Chariots, because there's some Chariots that I've done in artillery, like the Ogre Chariots, for instance. They've been done in artillery because they function more as that faction's artillery piece, whereas what I'm looking for is essentially units that offer that kind of counter-punch style delivery. So I'm looking in terms of like battlefield role, so which really fulfills that kind of, you know, that counter-punch style. In essence, what a chariot does on the battlefield is it sits around near the infantry, and then as soon as somebody gets close or charges into your infantry, you can then hit them with your chariots. They're not like cavalry, which is go out there, go route one, and go and engage, you know, the enemy as quickly as possible, do a lot of damage. You know, like a long distance, you know, punch through the lines, which is what cavalry are for, and which is why I included heavy cavalry in with. Monstrous cavalry in with cavalry. It's the same role. You know, you got a wide base unit that's going route one towards the enemy, and their job is to essentially make a hole in the enemy's line and get through, and then go and start killing some war machines. Light cavalry's job is to kind of slip through the enemy's line and then start killing war machines and lone characters and stuff. And chariots aren't really for that. They're for counter-punching, predominantly, and this is reflected in the game because most of them don't actually have swift stride, and the ones that do are obviously better because you get more reliable charges off. But their job really is to kind of, now some of them, Khemri for instance, come in units, and Khemri and chariots are way better than I think a lot of people rate them as, but you know, whatever. Let's work our way through. So the first one up here is the Black Coach, which is Vampire Counts. Where's Vampire Counts? Here we go. Vampire Counts. Let's have a look at the Black Coach. So the Black Coach looks a bit like this. It's 205 points, which is quite expensive. However, it is toughness 6, which I think is the toughest chariot. And it has 4 wounds, which isn't a lot, but it's all right. It's got a 3-up armor save, so it's pretty tanky. It is on quite a big base. It's got close order, first charge, necromantic undead, which means it's got regen, which is pretty good. Indomitable 1 means that if it only loses combat by 1, then it doesn't suffer any further wounds for combat res. So basically undead, there's no leadership test. However many points you lost the combat by is however many wounds you take. And it does cause terror, which is a pretty useful ability in this game. It is, however, 205 points. Now, it can do this. It can become incorporeal, which means it loses its impact hits. D6 plus 2 is, I think, the highest number of impact hits. Oh, I say that. I bet the Hellflayer's got more, which is a Slaneshi thing. But anyway, this thing has got D6 plus 2 impact hits. Or it can lose that and get ethereal and fly 10. So it adds 2 to its move and becomes ethereal and gets fly. Now, fly is important in vampires because if you've got fly, you can march. So this can then move 20 inches with fly, and then it goes back to that, and you know. So its battlefield role is sort of slightly different. However, fly 10 really does mean you're allowed to reposition it. And then it does have this spectral scythe, so the Wraith has 2 strength 3 attacks with no armor saves, which is, pretty good. It's a heavy chariot, so those impact hits will be at strength 5, AP 2. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it is pretty expensive, so it's probably pointed about right. I'd say, yeah, it's good. Just to explain how I do this, basically, S is like excellent, almost guaranteed to win your points back. A is very good, very likely to get its points back. B is, it's good. It's very good. It's not very good. It's good. And has a 50% chance of getting its points back. C is, it's okay, might get its points back, and D is trash, almost certainly won't get its points back, so not worth taking. So that's the Black Coach. Let's do the other one from Vampire Counts, the Corpse Cart. Let's go by faction, actually. It's probably easier to do that, isn't it? Now, the Corpse Cart is a bit weird. It's got Dark Vitality, which means it doesn't suffer wounds when the general dies, and it means it can march because it's got Dark Vitality. So units with Dark Vitality can march. They're not really, they're sort of better undead. The Corpse Master is a level 1 wizard and knows a spell from the Necromancy Law of Magic, which is pretty good. It does have Law of Undeath as well, so you can take, you can decide to take one of these. So you can make a little unit of Risen Zombies. You could take Hellish Vigor and give it reserve move. Remember, it's only level 1, so you want something that's fairly easy to cast, so maybe Hellish Vigor. I'm not sure what's the best... But anyway, it's 115 points. It is a heavy chariot. It's got a 4-up save, toughness 4, 4 wounds. So it's not the toughest in the pack by some margin, but it is a level 1 wizard, and it does have this warped tintinnabulation, which is whenever you're resurrecting stuff with the invocation of Nehek on a 4-up, you get an additional wound, and also it acts to reduce the number of wounds lost due to unstable by 1. This is not cumulative with Indomitable, which is this has got Indomitable, so it loses 1 for your wound anyway. However, it is cumulative with the D3 off that you get from a Battle Standard Bearer. So this in a Battle Standard Bearer means units basically within 15 inches of this and BSB get to, they lose D3 plus 1 fewer models, all for an extra 15 points, which brings it to 130. Or you could take the Balefire Brazier, which is not great because it's quite short range for its effect, so it's not really. I mean, it's got D3 plus 1, strength 4, obviously AP 2 because it's a heavy chariot. Impact hits, which is pretty good, and it's got regen. Now, will it get its points back? So that probably, actually, over a game, it'll probably get its points back. So I think that goes A tier, because you're going to be resurrecting stuff or stopping stuff from crumbling, or imagine if you're near, for instance, some Blood Knights who lost combat by 1. This will save you from losing a Blood Knight, and bearing in mind they're sort of about 40 points each, do you know what I mean? This is going to come in quite useful for that kind of scenario. So that's Vampire Counts. Then let's have a look at Skaven, the much maligned Skaven. Poor Skaven, who are doing terribly in the meta at the moment for a whole variety of reasons. Everything about Skaven is just slightly it's like everything is about 80% as good as it should be. Apart from Giselles, they're pretty good. But that's about it, really. And Gutter Runners. Gutter Runners are alright. So, Doom Wheel is their chariot. It's got random move, which isn't great, which means it's got a 3d6 random move, which is, okay. Like, you're likely to roll a 10. It's got D3 plus 1 impact hits, which again is quite low. It's toughness 5, 4 wounds. Its armor save of 5 is pretty bad. It does have like 2d6 random attacks, but they're only strength 2. It does 2 stomps, which is weird for a chariot. You don't tend to see stomping on a chariot. The stomp attacks are AP 1. And in addition, any enemy unit that's... I've not read this before. Enemy unit that suffers impact hits must immediately make a leadership test. If the test is failed, the unit becomes disrupted until the end of the current combat phase. Disrupted. Oh no, I'm disordered charge. What's disrupted mean? Does that mean no rank bonuses? So it can hypothetically take out rank bonuses. It's 145 points though, and this random move is not good because there's no way of re-rolling it or anything. So it's just unreliable. It's then got this zap attack, which basically it sort of just blows itself up. Yeah. Actually, this isn't a shooting attack, so you could charge it into combat and then it can then do zap, because it says at the end of every shooting phase after all shooting has been resolved, place up to, so it's not a shooting attack, so this can be done in combat. That does make it slightly better, really, doesn't it? But you've got to get in combat and it's not reliable. So, and it'll probably blow itself up. The strength of which is determined by an artillery dice. So it could be like strength 10 AP2, stone throw. It could be strength 2 AP2. Or could be just losing a wound. AP, who cares? I mean... It's 145 points. It's unlikely to get its points back, I'd imagine. I mean, it's okay. It's just unreliable, and I think reliability is my watchword, really. I mean, if you were to take 3 of them, for instance, are you going to get 450 points out of 3 of them? I mean, maybe 50-50, really, isn't it? It's not massively likely. And that's the Skaven Chariot. Chaos Dwarves only really have one thing, but it is one of the best things in the game. It's the Iron Demon. It's very expensive. You only want 1. Well, I've seen some armies have 2, but anyway, you really only want 1, and then some other stuff. It's got toughness 7, 7 wounds, and a 3-up save, which is excellent. I think the steam tank's the only thing that's tougher, so it's pretty good. And it can carry other steam carriage stuff, so you can take a Dreadquake mortar, put it on a carriage for 10 points, and that means you can move it 5 inches every turn, which is good. It's got decent impact hits. Again, it's got stomps, which is pretty unusual. It is unbreakable, which is pretty good, and obviously immune psychology. It's also got grinding wheels, so its stomp attacks have AP of 2. It can add a d6 to its move. However, if you roll 1, it just can't move at all. So that's not amazingly reliable. It's not a massive problem. It's then also got a steam cannonade, which is this 18-inch strength 5, AP 1, armor bane 1 cannonade, and it's basically an organ gun. So it's strength 5, AP 1, armor bane 1 organ gun. I think organ guns have a better AP, and it's quite it's quite short range. So, I mean, it's all right. And I suppose the Chaos Dwarf crew have ballistic skill 4, so that's pretty good actually. That is pretty good. And remember, cannonade doesn't mean, these aren't multiple shots, so you're not -1 for multiple shots. So, you roll 2 artillery dice, you'll probably end up with like 10 shots. That's pretty wicked. I mean, is it going to make its points back? Likely. It's more likely than not. It's not like very likely, but I think it's more likely than not. So, wherever I put it there, I think it's A tier, to be honest. Cool. Dark Elves. Now, the first one is this Bloodwreck Shrine. Now, this is dragged along, which means you've got to have some infantry nearby. And if you stop being dragged along, it's not useless because it's got Petrifying Gaze. Substitute the target's toughness with its initiative, no armor saves. So this is excellent against dwarves and undead and stuff like that. But is terrible against elves. So, stuff that would normally be tough. This is like opposite world. So stuff that's normally, tough but low initiative, which those two things typically come together. Bloodwreck Shrine is awful against. Is very good against, and stuff that's typically weak, as in low toughness, but has high initiative, like elves. This is particularly bad against. It's toughness 5, 5 wounds, 4 up saves, so it's pretty survivable. It's reasonably survivable. It's got a decent amount of impact hits. Just the problem is the dragged along. And yeah, it causes terror, which is useful. It's got frenzy, which is a bit weird because I think dragged along is a May thing. So it's only got movement 2. So frenzy just means extra attacks. And the Medusa has a cavalry spear, so she's strength 5 on the charge. So it's reasonably good, isn't it? The downside is this dragged along thing. It's just not very, it's not very good. I wish dragged along they'd changed that so you can just put it in a unit, for instance, but whatever. So, I mean, it's not likely to get its points back, is it? It's okay. It's got some useful abilities, but I just can't see it being, it feels a bit too situational to, be any more than... Where the hell is it? There it is. It's on a round base, so I couldn't find one on a square base. So I'm going to put it down there. It is better than a Doom Wheel. Yeah. The problem is the expense. That's the, it's a bit too expensive. Scourge Runner Chariots are light chariots, so you can take them in units of up to 3, which is quite small for a chariot unit, a light chariot unit. But they're 85 points each. They've got Ravager Harpoons, which is just on the chariot, so ballistic skill 4. It's strength 6, AP 3, multiple wounds D3, but it's cumbersome and ponderous, which means can't move and shoot, which is a bit weird because you kind of want it to be mobile. It's got movement 9, which is good. It's got D6 impact hits, which is, pretty good. Light chariots, do they tend to have less? I don't know. I think they tend to have less. But anyway, D6 impact hits. No AP because it's only a light chariot. Only strength 4. Which is, all right. So, because, if you're charging 3 of them in, for instance, which would cost you, the grand sum of 255 points, which is not a terrible amount. 3 of them charging in, 3 D6 impact hits at strength 4. That's not bad. So... yeah, and I suppose these can sit still and fire these Ravager Harpoons, which, could be good. Strength 6, multiple wounds D3, pretty good against stuff like ogres and monstrous infantry, and monstrous cavalry, actually. So it's got a use case, but it just depends on your opponent, really. And 85 points each. Are they going to get their points back? Probably, actually. They're quite good. They're quite good, these. I like those. So the Scourge Runner Chariot is hiding from me at the moment. I think it's that one. I think it's B. It's not better than the Black Coach. Then the other chariot, the final chariot they've got, is the Cold One Chariot, which on the face of it looks good. It's toughness 5, 4 wounds. 4 up save isn't the best, to be honest, for a heavy chariot. It does D6 plus 1 impact hits, which is pretty standard for a heavy chariot. Obviously, they're all going to be at AP 2, strength 5, which again is pretty standard for a heavy chariot. It is just a pretty standard, pardon me, heavy chariot. All the Scourge Runner chariots also have Swift Stride as well, which is quite interesting. So they're pretty reliable at getting charges off. So, yeah, quite like them. The Cold One Chariot, though, it's got a first charge, which is, pretty good. It can be a mount, whatever. The issue is stupidity. And yeah, leadership 9 is nothing to be snuffed at. I mean, like rolling a 10 or more on a leadership check, that's like rolling a 1 on a d6. It's, the 6 out of the 36 on 2 dice, there's 36 possibilities. And 6 of those results are 10 or more. 5, 5, 6, 4, 4, 6, 5, 6, 6, 5, 6, 6. So you've got 6 opportunities to cock it up. So that's like a 1 in 6. So stupidity's not a tremendous problem. However, it is still a problem, and you can bet your bottom dollar that it's going to go down, or it's going to become stupid when you need it to do something, which is, not great. So it's a pretty average heavy chariot with stupidity, which makes it pretty bad. So I'm going to put it down there, I think. Then what we got? We got, demons. Demons are cool. Love demons. So the first one is the Skull Cannon of Khorne, which arguably could have been in the artillery bit, but it's more of a chariot. So it's 185 points. It's got a cannon, which doesn't have ponderous or move or shoot or... ponderous means it's -2 to move or shoot. Move and shoot, isn't it? So you can move and shoot with it. It just makes it less accurate. This thing, you can move and shoot with it. It's a 36-inch range cannon with move 7, so basically 43-inch range, which is pretty good. It's strength 8. It's the same as... It's a cannon. It's just a short-range cannon, which is pretty good. It does have D3 stomps at AP 3, which is very good. It's got fewer impact hits, but heavy chariot, strength 5, I don't know. It's got 4 wounds and a 4 up save, and because it's a demon, it's got a 5 foot ward inbuilt, which is great. Oh yeah, and it's +1 strength when it charges. So actually those D3 +1 impact hits, although they're low, they're a strength 6, which you don't see very often. So it's quite difficult to work out where that goes. I think it'll probably get its points back. I think it's very good. Impetuous at leadership 7 can be a problem. In that it's going to charge, but to be honest, if you get an opportunity to charge it, it hasn't got Swift Stride. So if you get an opportunity to charge it, you probably want to, because even your... How much is Bloodthirster nearby? Leadership 9 could make it slightly more reliable. Oh no, it's not stupid, is it? Impetuous it's just on a 4+, isn't it? So if half the time it has to charge. They've got Hellblades as well, which means they've got Cleaving Blow, which means you've got 3 attacks, 6s to wound. So it's pretty good in combat, and it's got a cannon. What's not to like, really? I quite like the Skull Cannon. I think they're very good. Arguably slightly too expensive because, actually I'll put it there. The thing is, right, either you want a cannon or you want a chariot. Sticking the two together doesn't necessarily make it better than either. I think the difference with this and ogres is that the ogre stuff, at some point in the game, the weapon is likely to misfire and break, so you can't use it again. But then the thing reverts to being a pretty decent chariot. So the ogre things are, good chariots, but also good weapons. This is an okay chariot. So the chariot's not worth 185 points. The cannon is certainly not worth 185 points. Is it worth 185 points for the two things together? No, not really. Because you'd rather have the chariot with all the charity sort of abilities for like 100 points, and then you'd rather have the cannon as a separate thing for like 70, 80 sort of thing. So altogether, it's probably not worth its points. I'm going to leave it in B tier though, to be honest. I quite like it. It's cool, and it kind of fits in with Khorne. It fits in quite well. And I think within the overall army, it could be quite effective. Then Slaanesh. Slaanesh have so many chariots. They've got 3 chariots. One of them can only be included as a mount, but I am going to put it in this chariot list because it's just a sort of a hero, super effective version of a chariot. So the first thing is the health layer of Slaanesh. That's the sort of the long one with lots and lots of spiky bits. I've got one. It's 145 points. It's a light chariot, armor save 5, toughness 4, 4 wounds. Does have swift stride though, so with movement 9 and swift stride, 18-inch threat range, very good. It's a light chariot, but it does have 2d6 plus 1 impact hits, which is amazing. So lots of strength 4 impact hits. You can only take them in units of 1, so you can't take like 3 in a unit, which would be pretty good. And it does have counter charge as well, so if you're charging at it with like... now, counter charge isn't that good because you have to charge 3 inches to get your impact hits. So, you have to roll 3 on your D3 with your counter charge. I wonder, actually, if you get +1 to that because of Slaanesh. It depends what the rules say about... That's something that I've literally just thought while I'm doing this video. What's it say? Counter charge. Otherwise, pivot the unit about its centre so it's facing directly towards the centre of the charging unit. After it moves D3. Oh, D3 plus 1. Directly toward the enemy unit. Right. So I guess it's demons. I guess it depends what the wording of the Slaanesh thing is. Maximum +1 to any charge or pursuit. So it doesn't say counter charge, so you can't use the Slaanesh thing on counter charge. But you've got a 2/3 chance of being able to get your 3-inch charge off, so it's got a reasonable chance of using counter charge to get some impact hits on some enemy cavalry. So and again, it's movement 9 with swift stride. The steeds have just 2 poisoned attacks, which is all right. The Aliores and the crew have piercing claws, which is like extra attacks. AP1, armor bane 2, something like that. Which again is pretty good. So that's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks from the crew. So it's got a decent amount of crew attacks that are actually quite effective. And then it's got the steeds who are all right. How do I rate this? Like, it's so tricky. I mean, it's either going to get shot or it's going to do the business, isn't it? It's like 50-50 it gets its points back, isn't it? So it's good. It's better than Skull Cannon. Probably not as good as Black Coach. Probably better than Scourge on the Chariots. Yeah. Oh, done it again. Right. Then let's have a look at Seeker Chariots and Exalted. Now, Exalted Seeker Chariots are only as a mount, so that basically means that you've got a Herald on them, an 85-point Herald. Which is pretty good because Heralds can be like wizards and stuff, and Heralds being wizards isn't a problem on a chariot because you just get the armor value. So anyway, so you got a Seeker Chariot which is 100 points, quite cheap, movement 9. These have got Swift Stride as well. Sorry, I forgot about the +1 when I said. So actually, the Hell thingy is 19-inch threat range, and this is 19-inch as well, because you get +1 because of Slanesh. It's only got D3 +1 impact hits. These are light chariots that can be taken in units of up to 3. So 3D3 +3 impact hits is pretty good. Strength 4, no AP though. Again, they do have Swift Stride. The Demonet crew have the useful piercing claws. These have countercharge too, which makes them better than Scourge Runners. And the Swift Stride, I think, really helps, or should really help. And they're open order. So, I mean, will they get the points back? Probably not, to be honest, because light chariots, the Khemri light chariots get their points back only because you can res them. So, I don't know. Seeker Chariots, I'm not sold on. I can't see them being... They're okay, aren't they? They're okay. I've not had anything that I think is absolutely terrible or not worth the points. Is there actually anything that I'm going to say is terrible and not worth the points? Probably the Sky Cutter, but that's about it. Yeah. Maybe I should put that down there. Yeah, I'll put that down there. Yeah. I mean, I suppose the thing in general is that chariots are just quite good in general. The rules, how they've written them and how they function on the tabletop, they're pretty useful things to have. But again, like when I'm building lists, I almost always find something better than chariots. So, don't know. And then the Exalted Seeker Chariot, it's very expensive with the mount and the wizard stuff. And then for a chariot, it's a heavy chariot. It's only got strength 4, which is quite low. It does have it's lost Swift Stride as well, so this isn't a heavy chariot with Swift Stride. I'm not sure there is a heavy chariot with Swift Stride. Which is pretty good. Which is pretty bad. Sorry for this. Toughness 4 and a 4-up save is pretty flaky. Albeit it does have 6 extra wounds, so your character that you put on it basically has like 8-9 wounds now, which is okay. It does have 3 Demonet crew. Nah, it's rubbish, isn't it? It's absolute garbage. Yeah, don't do that. That's pretty terrible too. And then we've got a couple of chariots for Tzeentch as well. So we've got a chariot of Tzeentch, which again is a mount. 90 points. Gives it fly 9. And it has these... Sorry, I'm going to have to move my legs because my knees started to hurt again. It does have D6 +1 impact hits. And fly 9 with a heavy chariot is pretty quick. It doesn't have Swift Stride, however. It does have this slashing attack thing. So when it flies over something during remaining moves, so on a march for instance, you can hit an enemy with D3 strength 4 hits AP 0, which is okay, I guess. Useful for slapping screens. So it is relatively cheap to add like fly 9 and 4 wounds and a 4-up armor save to... I think it's pretty good actually. It'll probably make your Herald quite good. So as a proposition, I don't think that it's terrible. I think that's quite good. It's not as good as a cannon. It is better than that, yeah. So then we've got what's next? It's the Burning Chariot. I really like these. Firstly, you can make them a level 3 wizard, which makes it 250 points. They are rare choices, so 2 of those in your Tzeentch army, and you've got 2 level 3 wizards on, this kind of platform, which is just fantastic. It's an Exalted Flamer as well, so you have got the Warp Flame, which is D3 multiple shots, which is March and Shoot and Quick Shot, which is, pretty good, considering this is Fly 9, so you can zip it around 18 inches and still get all these shots off. You can't do your magic missiles, though, which is a bit of a downer. Now, in terms of the magic lore, Tzeentch gets 2 spells, Pink Fire and Gift of Mutation. Gift of Mutation is a 12-inch hex, minus D3 to, what are they? Weapon skill, strength or toughness. So taking D3 off your opponent's toughness can be pretty good. And they are quick enough that they could get in range of the units you want to be targeting with it quite quickly, or it could just take Pink Fire. But there are better magic missiles in the laws that there are better signature spells in the laws that are available to it, let's just say. So, you got Demonology, the magic missile, which is the signature spell, which I can't remember the name of at the moment. Hold on a sec, let's just quickly find it. I say quickly find it. Laws of Magic, Demonology. So, yeah, 2d6 strength 4 hits, AP 1 is pretty good. Casting value of 9, which means you can get it on a 6, which is, pretty reliable. So, that would... Demonology maybe something you take. What was it? Demonology, Dark, Elementalism, Illusion. Dark is a bit rubbish. Illusion could be good if you're up against... But the other spells you get are not so good. Demonology, Dark, Illusion. What was it? Demonology, Dark, Illusion. Oh, Elementalism. Storm, Call. Target enemy, -1 move and initiative. Meh. I mean, you can't pick your spells though, so you can't guarantee Plague of Rust, which is a bit rubbish. But, yeah, it's pretty good. I really like it because of the level 3 wizard thing, although it is a bit flaky. So, yeah, again, it's like 50-50 whether it's going to get its points back, isn't it? It is really quick, though, so it's relatively easy to hide it. So, I think it's more likely than not. So, I think it also goes here. This or a skull. I'd still rather have a skull cannon. Keep doing that. Right, so that's all the demon chariots. So they've got quite a few in the demon roster, which is quite interesting. Lizardmen don't have any. High elves. High elves have 3 actually. We've got Tyranno chariots, which are 1 to 4. Light chariots. D6 impact hits, so quite a lot of the impact hits. They are strength 5, which is pretty high strength. No AP, because it's only light chariot. But, 4 of them hitting you, that would cost you 400 points. No, 300 points. Can't do maths. They do have Swift Stride and Movement 9, so an 18-inch threat range, which is, pretty good. And they do have Quick Shot, so they don't suffer movement penalties for moving and shooting, which again is... They've got longbows, so that's pretty good. So you take 4 of them, that's 8 longbow shots a turn, which isn't terrible. Yeah, I quite like them. They're quite good. Lots of... And the strength 5, I haven't spotted that before. The strength 5 makes them actually quite good. They're probably going to get their points back, aren't they? Yeah, they're more likely than not to get points back. I seem to be liking light chariots more than I like heavy chariots, which is interesting. But again, Swift Stride is such a key ability in the game. It's that one. Is it A tier? What am I going to put in S? Oh, I know what I'm going to put in S tier. Yeah, probably going to get its points back. I'm not sure anything's S tier, but we'll see. So they're good. They're very good. Then you got Line Chariot, which is a heavy chariot. So it's got a 4 up save, which is quite poor for a heavy chariot. Toughness 4, which again is quite bad for a heavy chariot. You know, I'd like to see that getting toughness 5, to be honest. And 4 wounds, meaning it's only slightly more survivable than the light chariot, which is a bit weird. It doesn't have swift stride, so it can't get into combat as easily. It does have some war lions, which are pretty good, but you know, 2 attacks, weapon skill 5 is great, strength 4 is good, but like, and then you got the Creation Great Blades, which are essentially great weapons with AP 3 instead of AP 2, which is pretty, again, very good. And because they're creations, they're stubborn, so that's pretty helpful too. I don't know whether that's any good, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, such a pity because the models are fantastic, but yeah, I think it's okay, isn't it? It is about on par with the Cold One Chariot. It's arguably better than the Cold One Chariot because it's not stupid, but it's okay. This is annoying to me because I really like Krace. That's my favourite bit of like the high elves, all the liony stuff. Love all that. So, oh well. So I want it to be good, but it isn't. Then you got the Ladern Skycutter, which is a cheap this is a cheap heavy chariot. 90 points for a heavy chariot is pretty cheap. However, it does have fewer impact. It's D3 plus 1. They are at strength 5, and this is a heavy chariot with swift stride and fly 10, so it's got a 19-inch threat range, which is mega. It's then also, you can upgrade it with this Eagle Eye Bolt Thrower, which, to be honest, is alright, but, you know, if you took 3 of these, are you going to get your points back? Are you going to get 270 points back from 3 of these? Probably not. Are you going to get your points back from 1? Probably not. Possibly. I don't know. It's difficult, really. It could probably run down like a unit of screens. Which might be 90 points. Depends on the faction. Probably less. I mean, you couldn't chuck it into like a unit of zombies. It would just get completely overwhelmed by that. But yeah, I don't know. It's okay. It's probably slightly better than okay. It's better than that. I think it goes there. Swift Stride is really good though. So I don't know whether I need to put it up a bit. I think it probably goes there. Actually, it's probably on par with this chariot, with this one. Right. So that's the High Elves. What else don't have any? Britannia don't have any. Empire do have one. It's called a Steam Tank. Now, Steam Tank, you know, toughness 7, 10 wounds, 3 up save. Really, really super survivable. You can give the commander a Hochland long rifle, which of course you would, because it just adds more firepower. And it does have a cannon, which fires pretty much like a normal cannon. It's a short-range cannon, but still, it's a cannon. It's also got this steam gun thing, which is strength 2, no armor saves as a breath weapon. So no armor saves is excellent. If the cannon, I suppose it's better than a cannon because if it misfires, you just lose a wound, which is pretty good. You can use steam power, so you roll 2d6 and discard the lowest. The highest is the steam power roll, so add that to its movement characteristic, which is that more reliable than Chaos Dwarves? What's theirs? May roll AD6. Yeah, so that one. Yeah. Oh, this is very good. 10 wounds. The other thing is, it's got D3 plus 1 stomp attacks and they're AP2. And so D3 plus 1 strength 6 AP2 stomp attacks is pretty good. And it's unbreakable, immune psychology. You've actually got to kill it, and it's toughness 7 and 10 wounds with a 3-up save. So you're going to really, really, really struggle to kill it. You can stop it from shooting by tying it up in combat. It can't just walk out of combat anymore. It used to in previous editions just be able to essentially just move through combat, which kind of makes sense because, look at it. And the model is so cool. It has only got movement 4, but like 4 plus D6, and then you can still shoot your cannon. It's very, 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 very good. And I suppose the other thing is, even if you roll a double 1, you can still, yeah, you can still add that 1 and just lose a wound if you've got loads left. Which, it starts off with 10. It can't drag stuff around like the Chaos Dwarf one can, but I think it's very good. I keep doing that. Is it going to get its points back? I mean, against a good opponent, no. So it's not S tier. It's not guaranteed to get its points back. Yeah, you need to, against a good opponent. These can all struggle against a good opponent, but actually, most of the time they're going to get their points back. Yeah. Right. Moving on. So that's Empire, and I think that's all that stuff. Cool. Bad guys. There's loads of chariots in here. Bad guys love a chariot. Orcs and goblins. Now, let's do this one first. The Black Orc. So 130 points, which isn't that expensive for a heavy chariot. Toughness 5, 3-up save. Really super survivable. It's got 4 wounds. Not obviously as super survivable as a steam tank. Remember, like 2 of these or a steam tank, right? That's for 260 points. Anyway, these have Black Orcs on, which, you can give great weapons, which you probably would, because Strength 6 AP2 is not to be sniffed at. They do, D6 plus 1 impact hits, which is pretty good. It's got the choppers rule, which is like extra AP and something. Reroll 1s on the charge and extra AP, something like that. And the Black Orc crew have Furious Charge. They go up to 2 attacks each when it charges. Tusker Charge makes the impact hits. No, makes the Tusker. I can't remember what Tusker Charge does, to be honest. But yeah, I think this is a really good heavy chariot. And I think it probably will get its points back for you over the course of a game. So yeah, the Black Orc one is this one. I think that goes there. It's definitely one of the best heavy chariots in the game. Then we've got where are the chariots gone? Orcs have quite a few chariots. They have a typical standard board chariot, which has a slightly worse armor value, but is 40 points cheaper, basically. You can make them savage orcs, but only 0 to 1 per 1,000, which is a bit weird. And can give it war paint, which means it gets a 6-up ward. You're then up to it's got 2 crew, so you're then up to 104 points, making it frenzied with war paint. But that's still pretty good. Let's have a look at Tusker Charge. What's Tusker Charge do? Strength plus 1, AP of 1. Okay, cool. And Choppers was reroll wounds of 1 and AP 1 when it charges. Yeah. So, I mean, that's all very good. These have choppers too, obviously. So, yeah, again, it's situational, but like I think it'll probably make its points back for you because it's only 90. I don't think the Savage Orc variant is worth it, but yeah, let's put it. It's not the bottom. Yeah, it is at the bottom of that, really, isn't it? And yeah, I would rather have an Orc chariot than a White Lion chariot, to be honest, but because of the cost. Then we've got moving on to Wolf chariots. These you can take in a unit of 5. I think that's the apart from Khemri, I think that's the biggest the unit can get. You can put them on a smaller base than a lot of chariots, which is pretty cool. They've got a small amount of impact hits that are strength 5 granted, and they do have swift stride, so they're pretty good at getting into combat. Cause they've got movement 9 plus that, so that's like 18. And there's loads of other stuff that orcs and goblins can do to boost charge distance. So these are probably going to get in first, then do a few impact hits, and then probably die because they got 3 wounds and a 5-up save. They are toughness 4, which is okay, but you know they've really got to pick their targets, so they're unlikely to get their points back. I'd suggest they are, they're okay. They're definitely the bottom end of okay. Would I rather have 5 of them or 1 of them? I'd rather have 5 of them, to be honest. But would I rather have 5 of them or what would it be? 2 of them? I think 2 of them, yeah. Cool. Oh, no, I've got to move that down then, haven't I? Because I'd rather have 5 of them than 1 of them. Oh, so, would it be 5? Would it be 4, 3? I'd rather have 3 of them than 1 of them, to be honest. So, Yep. Happy with that so far. Right. So that's the Goblin Wolf Jets. Then we've got the Snotling Pump Wagons, which are random move 2d6, which is just too unreliable. Toughness 4, 6-up save, 3 wounds. Like, the Pump Wagon is Armor Bane 3 on its D3 plus 1 impact hits, but it's just not going to get a charge off. Like, it's not. They're not going to get anywhere. Like, you can take it up to 6 in a unit, which is going to cost you 210 points. Like, for 18 wounds at armor value, toughness 4, and armor value 6. Like, and if they get a charge off, they might do okay. Like, they're just going to die. Like, they're just awful. So, I think they're absolute bottom, definitely. Oh, maybe that goes there. No, it's too expensive. Evils. Alright, so that's all the greenskin chariots. Warriors of Chaos have only 1. Oh, no, they don't. Sorry, that's a lie. They've got gore beasts. So, you've got the Chaos Chariot, which is alright. It's toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3-up save. So, again, pretty survivable. Not as good as Steam Tank, obviously. You can give it a mark, which, you can give it Frenzied or reroll 6s to hit, or can't remember what Slanesh does. It's not very good. Or magic resistance and flaming attacks, which is, alright. The crew have got ensorcelled weapons, so they got AP1 and magic attacks, so that's your Charioteers. They have no, that's only for hand weapons. So they have halberds, which makes them strength 5, AP1, but not magical, or they're just strength 4, AP1, and magical. Or I make for hand weapons. It's okay. Like, it's probably worth the points, and you'll probably get it back as long as you know how to use chariots. So I'd put that somewhere in the middle. I'd rather have a skull cannon. I'd rather have that. Yeah, there. Yeah. It's good, but, could do better. Then we've got the Gorbeast chariots, which are 10 points more, have the same defensive profile, the difference is that they've got this Gore Beast thing. So it does one more impact hit, which is again okay. The problem is it doesn't have Swift Stride. Gore Beast has got Killing Blows, so 3 attacks. You know, that could be quite good, but swingy. It's only movement 6 though. I think this one's movement 7. So you know, that extra inch, I think, you know, does matter. But they are a bit of a nightmare in combat, the old Gore Beast Chariots. The ensorcelled weapons rule should apply to the Gore Beast as well, which says it counts as a hand weapon. So does that mean ensorcelled weapons apply? Don't know. Can be given a mark. Again, it's good. It's probably about on par with the Chaos Chariot, to be honest. I'd say it's slightly behind because you're paying quite a bit more for essentially like maybe some extra attacks and an extra impact hit. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Maybe the Gore Beast Chariot is better. No, it is 25 points more. That is quite a lot more. Yeah. Point for point, I think the Chaos Chariot's slightly better because it's got more likely to make it up. Beastmen have a couple of chariots as well. They have some very good chariots. Now, because Beastmen are a good MSU faction in terms of like gumming up the board, they can pretty much guarantee getting a charge off with their chariots. They're very good at, you know, playing to get their chariots into combat. So they haven't got the downside of Chaos Warriors is that you haven't got a lot of spare stuff to throw away so that you get a charge off with your chariots. Whereas Beastmen, totally different picture. Same with Orcs and Goblins, which is why I think their chariots are better, because they're better at getting the charges off, because they've got lots of other stuff they can gum at the table with. Anyway, so Tuskar chariots, toughness 4, armor save 4, 4 wounds, 85 points, cheap as chips, and they've got the Primal Fury stuff as well, and Razor Tusks, and you know, these are pretty good heavy chariots, you know, and cheap too. So they're I mean, toughness 4 is a bit of an issue, but it's not that bad. So these they're kind of on par with Orc chariots, aren't they? Arguably slightly better, because Razor Gores are better than Boars. Just about. And about the same cost, aren't they? Then you got Tuskars are better than Boars. Then you got Razor Gores, which are 120 points. So they're quite a bit more expensive. They've only got the defensive profile isn't great, but as I said before, these have D6 plus 2 impact hits, and they've got a Razor Gore, which is, you know, pretty nasty. It's got faux render, it's got armor bane 1, it's got a faux render. Again, you got Primal Fury. Let's just have a quick look at what faux render does. It's while subjects have Primal Fury becomes AP2, which is insane. And Primal Fury is you got to take a leadership test, and then if you pass, you can re-roll hit rolls of 1. So you know that's pretty good. Rerolling hit rolls of 1, strength 5, AP2 is just immense. And Razor Tusks, that's an extra AP when you charge, isn't it? I think AP is improved by 1. Yeah, so it becomes AP3 on the charge. Strength 5, AP3, reroll 1s to hit. It's just unreally good, unbelievably good. And D6 plus 2, strength 5, AP2, impact hits. I mean, that is, and again, because of how Beasts of Chaos play, that is pretty guaranteed to get its points back. To be fair, the Tuskar Chariot probably is as well. So I think I'm going to put the Tuskar Chariot Oh, it's not quite as good as... Does a steam tank need to go up to S tier? I think the Razor Gold Chariot is possibly the only S tier chariot. Maybe. Maybe the steam tank needs to go up there as well. I think the steam tank needs to go up there as well. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then Khemri. I'm sure I've missed something. I seem to have missed one unit for every single video like this I've done. Khemri... Chariots are a bit weird for Khemri. So the light chariots, unit size 1+, so you can have as big a unit as you like, which is pretty cool. They've got D3 impact hits at strength 4, which is, you know, okay. They have reserve move, and swift stride, so they're likely-ish to get a charge off. The arrows of Asaf, so they always hit on 5s. So if you've got, like, you know, and they're cheap as well, 43 points. So 5 of them is going to set you back 215. They can take command as well, which is pretty good. And they can take magic standards, which some of the magic standards are pretty useful for chariots. So you know, Icon of Rakov is interesting because they've got reserve move. So one of their moves, they can make a single free reform at any point during its movement. You know, which is pretty good. -1 to hit and shooting for the Mirage banner. And then we've also got some from the Arcane Journal. Now, where chariots really... and I can't make this any bigger because it's... I don't know, it's just this software. Because... and this is where chariots really shine, is by putting Cetra in them. Because Cetra can do a rise even in combat. He's a heavy chariot, but he can join a unit of chariots, so he can bring back some chariots. He's got Indomitable 3, which, you know, makes them a lot more survivable. What else does he do for chariots? No, it's just that he can bring them back, isn't it? And then My Will Be Done obviously then affects the chariot unit as well, which is plus D3 to move, plus D3 to initiative, or +1 to weapon skill, which, you know, is pretty useful considering you could have given them a banner that gives them +1. But then as well in here there's some pretty good magic standards as well. So Tomb Guard Chariot. Do you know what? I hadn't even seen that. So they've got some slightly improved chariots, which are... what's the difference? 43 points. So the 10 more points for... what do you get for those extra 10 more points? You get Tomb Guard, which have presumably got Cleaving Blow. Yeah. The Ballistic Skill 3... they don't have any missile weapons. Light Chariot, unit size 3+. They've got Kopesh, which makes them slightly better in combat. But they've got Halberds as well. And they got Swift Stride 2. I'm not sure the Tomb Guard Chariots are much better, actually. But, yeah, anyway, what I was looking for was... because you want numbers of chariots, because you can bring them back, you know, in numbers. Where's the magic standards? Which is the one that's... I thought there was one that was really good for them, but obviously... No, it's none of that. I thought there was a standard that's really... So I don't know. I mean, they're pretty good. In fact, they're very good. Are they going to get their points back? They are, like, weirdly very flaky. But they do have swift stride and reserve move, and if you put Setra in them, then they're just another thing altogether. And they can take, full command and stuff, which is pretty good. So I think they're certainly A tier. Like, yeah, they're certainly A tier. So I think that's it. Actually, I think that's my listing of all the chariots, apart from the Tomb Guard chariot. Tomb Guard chariot I'd probably put in B. Just probably at the top of B, but because they're not quite, they feel less likely to get their points back. Let's put it that way. Whereas these look pretty likely. So these all look pretty likely. You're going to get your points back more than 50%. These 50-50. It depends. So like as you'll see through here, these are the ones where it's actually quite difficult to guarantee that you're going to get your charges off. So this one, and this one, because they've all got swift stride, probably should, which is why they're towards the top end of B. But they are incredibly flaky, so they have like an obvious weakness. This one, Black Coach, should arguably be A tier, I think, because it is that a bit more survivable. Yeah, I'm going to put it up to A tier, actually. That looks better, doesn't it? Because the Black Coach is quite tanky for vampire counts. Where's it gone? Oh, was it below? But it was below now. Haha. Yeah, toughness 6, 4 wounds, 3 up save. That is quite good. So it's quite tanky, and then you can just make it ethereal. So it's got lots of impact hits and causes terror. So all of that can be quite. And again, undead, you've got a lot of units that you can shuffle around to make sure it's going to get its charge off. The Iron Demon and the Steam Tank are weird things. The Iron Demon has more utility than it just being like a mobile organ gun. In fact, it's a mobile organ gun at ballistic skill 4. What am I doing? It's obviously S tier. Yeah. I think I'm okay with calling these 3 terrible. I mean, as cool as they are, I think they're just... That's too expensive. If you include the cost of the Herald and everything. Like, it's as expensive as the Burning Chariot, but just not as good, somehow. I think as well, like, Tzeentch get +1 to cast as well, so that's another thing to think about. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So that's my tier list for Chariots. So if you've got this far through the video, and maybe you should consider maybe you should consider subscribing. And if you've liked the video, there is a button to express that particular emotional resonance with. I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you around soon. Toodaloo.